What year is it? Hello friends, Anderson here. Oh my god, I've forgotten how annoying long hair is. Even though it's not real. It's been a while. So I figured I'd make this video in response to some of the questions I've gotten in the comments regarding the fate of various series on the channel and my absence in general and how I'm doing and all that. So I'm doing fine, everything's okay. I had my jaw impacted by an impact and that required a bunch of tooling around in this here area, which also made it rather difficult to speak and record video. So that was most of last year pretty much. So there was some to-dos that are now done, and there's only one follow-up required in about half a year, and then nothing will be visible or even noticeable anymore. So many thanks for your well wishes, your concern, your messages. It's all been absorbed, even though the responses were rather late. My apologies for that. I was a bit frustrated with my inability to do anything on YouTube, so I eventually sort of stopped engaging with it and didn't really interact because I was quite frustrated every time I opened up the Creators app, unable to actually create. Now, as for the series currently in limbo, I would say Nave is the one that I would expect back as soon as the Kickstarter physical rewards are rolling out. Oh, I just noticed I have a little apparently have a little Fallout power armor miniature and a Mr. Gutsy stuck in my beard. You can't say that every day. So, Nave. Physical rewards delivered, and then we continue with mmyeees, I'm assuming, right now. Like, that's our eyes and ears in the story, and no doubt Torga will eventually wake up, maybe an episode or two in. But I'm mostly considering it mmyeees' season, the second run of Nave with the second edition. That will be, well, hopefully some kind of an investigative storyline. Let's see how Nave handles that. I've looked at the preliminary PDF published from the Kickstarter and it looks quite nice. There is a lot of new random tables in there, so we'll take them for a spin. Regarding other series, I am reluctant to make any definitive statement other than the World Without Number second building series, that Withermark Frontier series that was only like 3 videos in at the time when I had to step away from YouTube. I don't think it makes sense to continue that. It's kind of difficult for me to get back into that building concept at this distance right now, like considering how long ago this was, because I've like done, I don't know how many, like in the last year I filled, I don't know, maybe 12 Google Docs with different world building elements and kind of picked some bits and pieces from the Withermark ideas from there, and like it's kind of the spontaneity is gone, the moment has a bit like passed. I know that sounds a bit like loopy creative nonsense kind of thing, but it's sort of difficult for me to go back to something that has gotten stale, which this one definitely has, because it never really got off the ground. However, that doesn't mean I don't want to build anything. One thing that kind of bothered me about the concept of World Without Number so far, the way I've done it here, is that it's a bit like building it first and then finishing it and then intending to play it, where we've seen in Nave that you can actually do a whole lot of world building as you play. So I want to maybe try that in a bit of a two-pronged series, which as like the general idea I had there was to take sort of a cornerstone concept of a world. There's like 4 major bullet points that give us an idea of what's going on in that world, then play a character in there and see the fine-grained details of the story and understand what's happening there by implication, while at the same time also picking up on those building elements and the cornerstones of the setting and building it sort of on a higher conceptual level in a world building series. So we'll have a concurrent play and a concurrent world building video component to this setting, where we're playing it as we're building it and refining it in play and then bouncing it back to the building part. Because that also seemed to work quite well in the Dungeon 23 series that unfortunately also is not going to really see a continuation. It's 24 now anyway. But the aspect of building it and then playing through it, I liked how that came out, but the way that it got bashed into one video made like both components feel rushed. So I'd rather do one more like story-centric, Nave-like minimum prep, boots on the ground play and extrapolate some world building elements from there, and then have another completely decoupled separate video series that takes the conceptual stage of the world building, and that way we can have both at the same time. So theoretically that should work. Practically, we'll see. So that's probably what we can expect to happen, is like the Black Sword Hack series is going to run for its initial story run, which I expect to be like 10 to 12 to 15 maybe installments. By that time we should probably get Nave in the mail, and then we can pick up there, while there's going to be a second upload slot that deals with this playing and building series, which I don't have a name for yet. And that's generally going to be sort of the idea there, is to have these seasons or chapters that are all always 10 to 15 episodes, and then we go on hiatus for a bit, and then we change something, potentially the system. Like what I've already been thinking is, if we do the Black Sword Hack sword and sorcery thing, we can also, once we've played that system for a bit, we can also keep the world, keep the character, and swap in something like Through Sunken Lands or another system, and then keep the story while also keeping like the play element a bit fresh and getting a chance to examine more systems, because oh boy, are there a lot of systems. I'm intentionally not making any real plans beyond that, outside of saying that I've looked at the Moria solo component written by Sean Tomkin and Matt Click, and it's huge surprise. It's incredibly good. And once I get the physical copy of the One Ring Moria, I think the Balance Expedition solo play with additional rules for managing like a band of dwarves and things like that, that is something I am really, really interested in, which also kind of explains why I own this, because I like dwarves. Beyond that, there's not really much to say, besides thanking you again for your continued attention on this here little space corner of YouTube. There's been quite a bit of unobserved growth in the last year. I've crossed the 2,000 subscriber mark somewhat without fanfare, and haven't really commemorated that in the slightest. So I hereby do that now. Thank you very much for everyone who's joined even while I was kind of absent. And let's see what the future brings. So until then, until next time, be well and see you soon.